Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Ah, great. Great. Okay, so in this photo, it's indoors in a very large, it looks like a hockey rink, I guess. It's a covered, you've got like with the steel kind of girders on the top. This could be a hockey rink because you're all on this kind of concrete.
I love how you think that because I'm in Minnesota, but it's a convention center. Thank you.
Okay, convention center. Well, okay, look, I'm from Montreal, so,
Okay,
it's
hockey,
like,
hockey.
yeah, that's just how it is.
I love that.
Okay, convention center. They have convention centers in Minnesota. And I'll note taken. All good. So it's a large convention space. There are a lot of stands, a lot of booths, lots of people. I think there's somebody. No, originally I thought somebody was dressed up in cosplay, but nope. You're standing in the middle of the image, facing. You have a tag on your around your neck, so it tells me that you're one of the presenters, or is that just your pass? I don't know.
That's my vendor
And
pass. Yep.
got it. There you go. And right behind you is a larger than life size Iron Man sculpture, kind of standing with his like well known sort of stance of kind of putting his hand forward, and it's right behind your head, and you're facing the photographer, and you're smiling. Okay, and this one's called Nerdy Mom. So own it.
I am so gonna own it. So I brought this photo up because, it took me a long time to really let myself admit to the world that I'm a huge nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm.
when I was in high school, being a nerd was not cool. So
No, of course.
I was a huge fan of Star Trek The Next Generation. And
Yep.
every summer, me and my parents would take me and my brother up to Star Trek conventions. They even
Okay.
made us Star Trek costumes. They had someone make us a costume. So
So your parents were enablers. Got it.
they sure were nerd enablers. And I had this full uniform. I was a lieutenant commander. I was in the yellow because I was going to be
Oh,
the
wow, wow,
security
wow.
chief. My brother,
Oh, is that what you're wearing in this photo
well, it's
as
close.
well?
It's not my actual. It's a different one I bought. My brother was the
Yeah,
captain.
right.
So he had the red, and we would go up and we'd see the celebrities we'd see on TV. We'd get autographs.
Oh, wow.
But if anybody found out I did that, I think I would have died in high school. Like it
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
been,
yeah.
you know, death to my whole. I mean, let's
Mm-hmm.
be real here. I was in band. I was not the cool person in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But what reputation I had, I did not want it destroyed by my love of Star Trek. Like I just feared
Sure.
that. But
Wow.
looking back, I'm like, why? Why did I really care? Because so Star Trek Next Generation, it may sound really weird, but it did help me get through. We had moved from northern Minnesota to southern Minnesota. The population change was when we were living up north, there was like 200 people in our town. When we moved to where I am now, there was 70,000. So, as
Okay,
you can
okay. So that's a
imagine,
massive change. Yeah.
massive change. I really did not take to the change very well. So, I didn't make a
Mm.
lot of friends. I didn't really enjoy school.
Mm-hmm.
Watching Next Gen kind of helped me get through some of that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Sometimes you find that thing that you connect with and you feel like you have a place there. And so it's really something that I felt comfortable with and I loved exploring. But to let anyone know that was terrifying for me.
Mm.
And now as an adult, I'm like, why did I spend so much time trying to pretend that wasn't who I was? So
Well, you were young,
I was young and
and
impressionable,
you're
yes.
and no, but it's also look, it's like your sense of self and your identity is emerging, and it's very kind of. Look, how old are your children now?
So I have one who is 19 and in college, and
Okay.
then I have one
Oh,
who
wow.
will be 16 next month.
So you can, I'm sure, observing them, you're going to make connections and parallels to how you were at their age. And of course, things are very different now than how they were when we were that age.
Hmm.
And my daughter is 10. So of course, it's really interesting and fascinating to see that biologically, we go through certain developmental stages, and
Hmm.
then how we react within our social groups is, well, it's not necessarily preordained, but it's kind of,
Hmm.
it follows a certain path. And so, don't be so hard on yourself for kind of going from a 200 to 70,000 and feeling overwhelmed and then retreating into the show that yeah, totally understandable.
It is now. As a kid, I keep trying to tell my kids just be who you are because you're really
Yep.
cool. Like there's only one of you in this entire world. So just
Mm.
know that whoever you are is amazing. So that's what I try and get across
Yep.
to my kids. And of course there are those certain things they won't wear out in public cuz while they may love
Hmm.
it, it's like, but I don't feel comfortable letting other people see it.
Right,
I
right,
take
right.
that with a grain of salt because I'm like, I remember the days.
Yep.
And I'm so glad we didn't have Facebook or all that when I was a teenager because, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have been able to handle that. But I chose this photo just because to say,
Okay.
love yourself, let yourself be who you are, and do it with a smile.
Yeah, own it for sure. What you're
Hmm.
doing. Okay, so I have training in in philosophy and arts and all this stuff, and then
Okay.
that's why when you say you like Star Trek Next Generation, like, yeah, of course, because that was very philosophical. It was kind of
Hmm.
like popular philosophy. I loved the show. I totally
Hmm.
loved the show. We watched it very faithfully. But in terms of your process,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you go to a trade show. Like, how do these events sit in your brain in terms of how you put yourself into the world?
So my books, I have historical fiction, I have a sci-fi novella, I have my fantasy series, and I just like to put myself out there. I love talking to different people and being like, "What's your favorite genre to read? Oh, have you read this recently? That's really good." And then when I speak about
Mm,
my books, I try and tap into that. This is really kind of Arthurian mythology mixed in with some adventures in Narnia and Harry Potter to kind of evoke that sense of, oh, okay, I can relate to that. So I,
mm-hmm.
I just love speaking with other people who are enthusiastic about books and reading because I've always been a huge reader and I enjoy
Sure.
talking about that with other people and then relating that to what I'm doing. Like, these are my influences, and this is kind of where this book, you can kind of see elements of this in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, because I just read a book and it was about cartographers. And it really had a
Okay.
sense of like the Da Vinci Code in it, but not nearly as
Yep.
intense as the Da Vinci Code, but it had those vibes. So I love talking about the different vibes that people get from reading different books. And it's just a fun exchange of bookish nerdiness and knowledge. And that's what I love about doing these different trade shows or conferences is it's not
Sure.
just about selling books, it's about meeting all these other people.
Yeah, finding your people.
Finding the people.
So when or has this ever happened where somebody came to you and was just the connection was so strong, either because they had read your book already or because they just really aligned and really clicked with what you were saying?
There has been a few times. I've had one person who said, "Oh, I've seen your books. I've read your book." I'm not the most
Oh,
recognizable author yet, but just hearing that was such a thrill. It made my
of
year.
course, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, there's some people who's like, "Oh, did you read this? And did you watch this?" And we could just sit there and talk about all these fun things that we're experiencing, and we're just. I've had it a few times where, yeah, you can just sit and talk. I want to be like, pull up a chair. I got an extra one. You can sit here and talk with me all day.
Right. Sure.
And yeah, that's just one of those perks of being at those events is that people are there because they love books, they love reading, and they love the type of books that you're writing. That's why they stop and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, writing can be a lot of writers are very shy and very introverted. I'm not so
Mm-hmm.
much. I was a theater major in college, so I'm always like, "Come
Okay.
on,
Okay.
friend, let's start talking to people," and so I'm usually the one who kind of gets all the conversations going sometimes. So
Nice.
yeah, I like having people come over and just talking books. It's fun. So
Yeah, for sure. And I can totally see how getting out there and meeting the people, meeting other fellow people, just share what you have in common, can be very nourishing and very validating. Now, I'm just going to try to pull back now. So in the 4 series of the images you have, so we've got the mini library, the tiny library, which I think is just so sweet, and it's anchored in Lord of the Rings, or so it's a little Hobbit home, very nice. And then we go on to the book cover of the 4 silhouettes with this like bold dragon and bold sort of scene. And then we've got A Woman's Place in the Resistance. And then we've got you at this trade show. So how do you wrap this up in a way that somebody who's listening can feel a kind of call to action to kind of do something for themselves?
So I think what my pictures convey when I really think about what I sent to you is it's really a journey, and
Mm-hmm.
let yourself be on that journey. Enjoy the journey. If you need, some encouragement, like I said, find that writing community, connect with people. Don't let yourself be alone in this process, because
Mm.
there are editors, there are publishers, there are agents. Put yourself out there, because your journey is pretty cool. No one else has
Mm-hmm.
experienced that journey. And really tap into who you are, what you love. Like, I love
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. This is a part of what made me who I am. My experiences in a small town, my experiences in a big town. My
Right.
experiences learning to love that nerd in myself and tap into that. So, really just take that journey, let yourself be forgiving of yourself, be
Mm-hmm.
accepting of yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself in this journey, and find your voice and let people hear it. Let it go out there into the world and be proud of what you've said.
Beautifully said.
Thank
Look,
you.
no, it's great. It's great. So I love what you said. Very much, it's totally inspiring, totally aligned with the podcast. And so just one more time, so people can know where to find you on the bookshelves. Where should they go to find your work?
Well, you can certainly go to Amazon. Again, my author name, J Lynn Else, Else, just like or else or what else. Super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's inklingspublishing.com, who is my publisher. They have my kind of Awakenings Avalon series. Otherwise, the other books, my historical fiction and the sci-fi, is just on Amazon. They're self-published. Again,
Yeah.
that was part of that process, is finding my voice, publishing it, and then getting out there and connecting with other people. So you can find me and my name on Instagram, Twitter, like I've mentioned, TikTok. I'm either J Lynn Else or I am Tea Sippin' Nerdy Mom.
Okay, tea sipping nerdy mom. On that note, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun. Thanks for chatting with me and a little bit of my crazy. I appreciate the conversation.
I'm all about putting the spotlight on how people make sense of the world. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.